Park never wanted to be important. He was a simple man with a simple job. He worked as a junior diplomatic aide in Seoul, mostly handling paperwork and making sure meetings started on time. Before this, he spent 3 years fighting in the solar defense war on Mars. Those days were behind him now. At least, that is what he thought. The year was 2247. Earth had joined the Galactic Federation just 5 years ago. Humanity proved itself during the war when alien raiders attacked the solar system. Against all odds, humans survived. They fought back. They earned their place among the stars. Now a very important delegation was coming to Earth. The Empire was one of the oldest civilizations in the galaxy. Their people lived for thousands of years. They had technology that made human machines look like toys, and their royal family was visiting Earth for the first time. Was not supposed to be part of the welcome team. He was too low in rank. But 3 days before the arrival, the main translator got sick, very sick. There was no one else available who could speak the language, had learned it during the war from a trader who gave him lessons in exchange for food supplies. So here he was, standing in the grand hall of the Earth United Government building. He wore his best suit, which was not very good. His hands were sweating. Around him stood generals, presidents, and the most powerful people on Earth. He felt like a mouse among lions. The doors opened, light flooded in, and they walked through. Emperor was tall, perhaps 8 feet, with pale blue skin that seemed to glow from within. His eyes were golden, ancient, and wise. Beside him stood Empress Myra, elegant and graceful, her silver hair flowing like water down her back. Their guards followed, each one carrying weapons that could level a building. And then came the princess. Forgot how to breathe. Princess was unlike anything he had ever seen. Her skin was silver, soft like moonlight. Her eyes were violet, deep and mysterious like the space between stars. She walked with confidence, her head held high. But there was something else in her expression, something that looked almost like boredom or perhaps loneliness. The ceremony began. Speeches were made. Hands were shaken, stood in the back, translating quietly into his earpiece for the human officials. Everything was going smoothly. Then the lights went out. His military training kicked in before his mind caught up. In the darkness, he heard a sound he knew too well, the whine of an energy weapon charging. His body moved on instinct. He grabbed a ceremonial shield from the wall display and threw himself forward. The blast hit the shield, the force threw backward. Pain burned across his arm where the edge of the beam grazed him, but he did not stop. He rolled, came up, and saw the assassin, a figure in black, raising the weapon for another shot. Did not think he charged. The assassin was faster, stronger, but was desperate. He tackled the attacker, took an elbow to the face, tasted blood. His hand found the weapon. He twisted. The assassin screamed. The gun clattered to the floor. Then the lights came back. Guards swarmed the room. The assassin was dragged away and lay on the ground, bleeding, breathing hard, staring at the ceiling. A face appeared above him. Silver skin, violet eyes. Princess looked down at him. She did not speak. She just stared, her expression unreadable. Then the medics pulled him away. That evening, the banquet happened anyway. The humans insisted on it. They wanted to show that Earth could not be scared by one attacker, wanted to stay home and sleep, but his superiors ordered him to attend. His arm was bandaged, his face bruised, but he put on his suit and went. The hall was beautiful. Food and drink from 100 worlds filled the tables. Music played. People talked and laughed, pretending that nothing had happened. Stood in a corner, holding a glass of water. He watched the princess from across the room. She sat at the high table with her parents, surrounded by nobles and important people. Many young males, both human and alien, tried to approach her. She dismissed them all with polite coldness. He wondered what she was thinking. He wondered why he cared. Then something strange happened. Princess stood up. The room grew quiet. She stepped down from the high table. She walked across the floor. People moved out of her way. She was walking toward. No, he thought. She is walking toward someone near me. He looked around. There was no one near him. He was alone in his corner. She stopped in front of him. Those violet eyes looked into his. He forgot every word in every language he knew. Princess raised her hand. She pointed at him. Her voice was clear and strong, carrying across the silent room. "I want him!" The emperor rose from his seat. The Empress covered her mouth. Every person in the room turned to stare. Dropped his glass. Water splashed on his shoes. His brain tried to process what was happening and failed completely. "I am sorry," he said, his voice cracking. "What?" The princess smiled. It was small, just a tiny curve of her lips, but it changed her whole face. She looked almost mischievous. "You heard me, human. I want you. According to the ancient traditions of the Empire, I declare my interest in you as a potential bondmate." His knees felt weak. Bondmate. He knew what that word meant. They did not date like humans. When they chose someone, it was serious, very serious. "But," he stammered, "I am nobody. I am just a translator. There must be some mistake." The Emperor walked toward them. His golden eyes studied like a scientist studying a strange insect. "There is no mistake," the Emperor said. His voice was deep, powerful. "My daughter has never declared interest in anyone. In 500 years, she has refused every suitor from every corner of the galaxy, and now she chooses you." He leaned closer, could feel the ancient power radiating from him. The question, "Young human," is why? Had no answer. He looked at Princess, hoping she would explain. She simply smiled that small smile again. "He jumped," she said softly. "When the weapon fired, he jumped in front of me. He did not know me. He had nothing to gain, but he jumped." She stepped closer. Her hand touched his bandaged arm gently. "In 500 years, no one has ever done that for me without wanting something in return. No one except you." His heart was beating so hard he thought it might escape his chest. This was insane. This was impossible. He was a nobody from Earth who ate instant noodles for dinner and could not afford a nice apartment. And an immortal alien princess had just claimed him in front of the entire galaxy. "So," Princess said, her violet eyes sparkling with something that might have been excitement or amusement, "will you accept the trials, Park of Earth? Will you prove yourself worthy of my interest?" Every eye in the room was on him, every camera, every recording device. This moment would be broadcast across the stars. His answer would change history. Took a deep breath. He thought about running away. He thought about hiding. He thought about all the sensible choices he should make. Then he looked at her, really looked. And he saw past the silver skin and the royal title. He saw someone who had been alone for 500 years. Someone who was tired of being a prize instead of a person. He straightened his spine. He met her eyes. "Yes," he said, "I accept." The room exploded into noise, but did not hear any of it. He only saw the princess smile at him, wider this time, genuine and warm. He had no idea what he had just agreed to. But for the first time in years, Park felt truly alive. The morning after the banquet, woke up hopping it had all been a dream. Then he saw the news on his screen. His face was everywhere. Every channel, every website, every social media platform. The human that the alien princess chose, the impossible suitor. His phone had 3,000 missed calls. He buried his head in his pillow and screamed. 2 hours later, soldiers came to his apartment. They were not there to arrest him. They were there to protect him. Apparently, when an immortal princess claims you, you become very valuable and very much a target. They took him to a government building he had never seen before. It was underground, hidden from the public. Inside, he found Colonel waiting for him. She was his old commanding officer from the war. A small woman with sharp eyes and silver hair, she looked at him with an expression that mixed amusement and concern. "Well," she said, "you certainly know how to make life interesting." "I did not plan this," he said. "I do not even understand why she chose me. Neither does anyone else, but here we are." She handed him a tablet. "This is everything we know about the trial of bonds. It is the traditional way royalty tests potential partners. No one has completed it in 2,000 years. Read the file. His stomach sank with every word. The trial of bonds had 3 parts. The trial of mind to test intelligence and wisdom. The trial of body to test strength and combat skill. The trial of heart to test the truth of one's feelings. This is designed for princes," said. "For warriors who have trained for centuries. I am a translator." "You are also a decorated war veteran," Colonel said. "I know you do not like to talk about it, but I have your file. I know what you did on Mars." Went quiet. He did not like to remember Mars, the blood, the screaming. The 6 hours he spent alone, holding a position so that a ship full of civilians could escape. He had nightmares about it still. That was different, he said. That was survival. And this is not, Colonel leaned forward. Listen to me. This is bigger than you. If you succeed, humanity gains an alliance with the most powerful empire in the galaxy. If you fail, we insult them. Neither option is small, so you will train, you will prepare, and you will do your best. She stood up. The princess asked to see you. Do not keep her waiting. Princess was staying in a special section of the government complex. Guards lined every hallway. When arrived, they searched him 3 times before letting him through. He found her in a garden. It was artificial, built underground, but beautiful. Flowers from a dozen worlds bloomed around her. She sat on a bench looking at a small fountain. Without her formal robes, wearing simple white clothes, she looked almost normal, almost human. You came, she said without turning around. Did I have a choice? She laughed. It was a lovely sound, like bells ringing. You always have a choice. That is what makes you interesting. He sat down next to her, keeping a respectful distance. Can I ask you something? Of course. Why me? Really? There must be thousands of beings more worthy, more powerful, more impressive. Was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was softer than before. I am 523 years old. In that time, I have met princes from every corner of the galaxy, warriors who could destroy planets, scholars who knew every secret of the universe. All of them wanted me, but none of them saw me. She turned to look at him. Her violet eyes were deep with something old and sad. They saw my title, my power, my family's empire. They calculated what I could give them. Every smile was a negotiation. Every word was a strategy. She reached out and touched his bandaged arm. But you, when that weapon fired, you did not calculate. You did not think about gain or loss. You just moved. You tried to save a stranger because it was right. Anyone would have done the same. No, her voice was firm. They would not. I have lived long enough to know that true selflessness is the rarest thing in the universe, and you showed it to me in our first meeting. Did not know what to say. He felt uncomfortable under her gaze, like she could see things inside him that he kept hidden. I am not special, he said finally. I am afraid all the time. During the war, I was terrified. I did not fight because I was brave. I fought because I was too scared to die. That is exactly what makes you special, smiled. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is action despite fear. Your people understand this in a way that mine have forgotten. She stood up and offered him her hand. Come, walk with me. Tell me about Earth. Tell me about humans. I want to understand. They walked through the garden for hours, talked about his life, his small apartment, his sister who was studying medicine at university, his parents who owned a tiny restaurant in Old Seoul. He talked about instant noodles and rainy days and the way the city lights looked at night. Listened to everything. She asked questions that seemed strange at first. Why do humans cry at movies? Why do they keep pets? Why do they fall in love so quickly when their lives are so short? Because our lives are short, explained. We do not have time to be careful. We cannot wait centuries to feel something. We have to feel it now or we might miss it forever. Stopped walking. She looked at the artificial sky above them. I have seen 1,000,000 sunsets, she said, on 1,000 different worlds, but I have never watched one with someone who knew they only had decades left to see them. She turned to him. Show me a sunset, a human sunset. That evening they went to the surface. Guards followed at a distance. They stood on the roof of the government building and watched the sun sink below the horizon. The sky turned orange, then pink, then purple. It is beautiful, whispered. It happens every day, said. Humans see it all the time. Most do not even notice anymore. That is sad. Maybe, or maybe it is a gift. We get so many sunsets that we can take them for granted. We do not have to treasure each one because there will always be another. Thought about this. I think I understand. Your short lives make you free. You do not carry the weight of forever. Is forever heavy? She did not answer for a long time. When she did, her voice was barely a whisper. Yes, it is the heaviest thing in the universe. The next day, the first trial began. The trial of mind was brought to a chamber filled with ancient elders. They presented him with a puzzle. It was a complex thing made of light and energy, shifting and changing. The goal was to find its center, to solve its pattern. "This puzzle has existed for 10,000 years, the eldest said. Our greatest minds have studied it, none have solved it. Looked at the puzzle. It was beautiful and impossible. Patterns within patterns within patterns. A human lifetime would not be enough to understand it all. But then he thought about what it said, about short lives and freedom, about not carrying the weight of forever. He did not try to solve the puzzle the right way. Instead, he reached in and grabbed the center. The puzzle shattered. Energy scattered everywhere. The elders gasped in horror. "What have you done?" one screamed. "You have destroyed a priceless artifact." Held up his hand. In it was a small sphere of light, the center of the puzzle. "The goal was to find the center," he said. "You never said I had to preserve the rest." The chamber went silent. Then, slowly, the eldest began to laugh. "In 10,000 years, no one thought to do that. We were all so careful, so respectful. We forgot that sometimes the simplest answer is the best one." He bowed, too. "The trial of mind is complete. You have passed." That night, visited in his quarters. She was smiling wider than he had ever seen. "You broke the puzzle," she said. "My father is furious. The elders are arguing. It is wonderful. I thought I might have made a mistake." "No, you did exactly what a human would do. You found a different way. That is your gift. You do not see limits the way we do. You just see problems to solve." She stepped closer. "The second trial will not be so easy. You will face combat. My enemies will make sure of it." "I know. Are you scared?" Thought about lying. Then he remembered what she said about truth. "Yes, very scared." Reached out and took his hand. Her touch was cool and soft. "Good," she said. "Stay scared, stay human. That is how you will win." She left without another word. Stood alone in his room, holding his hand where she had touched it. He was in deep trouble, not because of the trials, not because of the danger, but because he was starting to feel something for her. Something that scared him more than any battle ever could. He was starting to fall in love. Lord was the most powerful noble in the empire after the royal family. He was ancient, over 3,000 years old, and he had expected to marry Princess since before Earth even existed. The alliance would have made his family unstoppable. Then a human ruined everything. Watched the recording of breaking the puzzle. He watched it again and again, his golden eyes burning with hatred. This insect, this creature that would be dead in a few decades, had embarrassed the greatest minds of the empire. Worse, the princess smiled when she talked about him. She had never smiled for. "Prepare my champion," ordered his servants. "The trial of body will be next. Make sure the human does not survive it." Back on Earth, trained every day. Colonel brought in the best fighters from every branch of the military. They taught him everything they knew. Combat techniques, weapon skills, ways to fight enemies bigger and stronger than himself. It was not enough. He knew it. They knew it. They were simply superior in every physical way. "You cannot beat them in a fair fight," Colonel told him one evening. "So do not fight fair." "What do you mean?" She pulled up recordings from the Solar Defense War. Battles where human forces faced enemies that should have destroyed them. Again and again, humans won through tricks, traps, and tactics that no honorable warrior would use. "Our species survived because we cheat," Colonel said. "We do not follow rules. We do not care about honor. We care about winning. Remember that." The day of the trial of body arrived, was brought to a massive arena that they had constructed in the desert outside Seoul. Thousands of spectators filled the stands. Humans and beings from dozens of other species came to watch the impossible suitor face his test. Princess sat in the royal box with her parents. She tried to look calm, but could see the worry in her eyes. She knew what was coming. Lord's champion entered the arena. His name was, and he was a monster, 9 feet tall, covered in muscle, with 4 arms that each carried a different weapon. He had won over 500 duels in his life. He had never lost. Looked up at him and felt fear grip his heart. "Human," said, his voice like grinding rocks. "I will make this quick, out of respect for the princess." "Thank you," said. "That is very kind." The signal sounded. The fight began. Charged, he moved faster than anything that size should move. His weapons cut through the air, barely dodged the first strike. The second caught his shoulder, drawing blood. The third would have taken his head if he had not thrown himself to the ground. The crowd cheered, laughed. Is this the best humanity has to offer? Rolled away, clutching his wounded shoulder. His mind raced. He could not match strength. He could not match his speed. In a straight fight, he would die in minutes. So he did not fight straight. He ran. The crowd booed, chased him, confused and angry. Sprinted around the arena, ducking behind pillars, using every obstacle he could find. Stand and fight, coward! Did not answer. He kept running, kept dodging. 5 minutes passed. 10. His attacks became sloppier. His breathing grew heavy. They were strong and fast, but they were not built for endurance. They burned bright and hot, then faded. Humans were different. Humans could run for days, hunt prey until it dropped from exhaustion. Had learned this in the war. When you cannot win with power, win with patience. 20 minutes into the fight was gasping. His forearms hung lower. His movements were slow and predictable. Stopped running. Now, he said, we fight. He had studied fighting style for weeks. Every recording, every match. The champion fought with honor, following patterns that had been refined over. He expected his opponents to do the same. Did not fight with honor. He threw sand in his eyes. While the champion was blinded, attacked his knees. He used techniques designed for fighting opponents twice his size. Dirty tricks, painful moves, things that no noble warrior would ever do. Fail! The crowd went silent. This was not supposed to happen. Champions did not fall to insects. Climbed on top of the massive. He pressed his blade against his throat. His whole body was shaking with exhaustion. Blood covered his face from a dozen wounds. Yield, he said. Stared at him. In his ancient eyes there was something new, something that looked almost like respect. I yield! The arena exploded. Half the crowd cheered, the other half screamed in outrage. Lord stood in his box, his face twisted with fury. This was impossible. This was unacceptable. Collapsed, medical teams rushed to help him. As they carried him away, he looked up at the royal box. Princess was standing, tears streaming down her silver face, not tears of sadness, tears of joy. He smiled at her. Then he passed out. He woke up 3 days later in a medical facility. His body was wrapped in bandages. Machines hummed around him, healing wounds that should have been fatal. Colonel was sitting by his bed. You are an idiot, she said. A brave, stupid idiot. Did I win? You won. The whole galaxy is talking about it. The human who beat a champion through endurance and dirty tricks. She almost smiled. You have made humanity very proud and very many enemies. Over the next few weeks, recovered, but things had changed. Lord was no longer content to defeat him in the trials. The noble wanted him dead. Reports came in of plots and schemes. Assassins were caught near his location. Poison was found in his food. Each attempt was stopped, but each one reminded him that powerful forces wanted him gone. Worse, the hatred spread to Earth. Groups who opposed alien contact blamed for bringing trouble to their planet. His family's restaurant was vandalized. His sister received threats at her university. Called one night. She was trying to be brave, but he could hear the fear in her voice. They painted terrible words on my door, she said. They say our family is betraying humanity by letting you court an alien. I am sorry, said. I never wanted this to affect you. I know, and I do not blame you. But please, brother, be careful. This princess of yours better be worth it. After the call, sat alone in the dark. He thought about giving up, walking away, protecting his family by abandoning the trials. Then his door opened. Princess slipped inside. You are thinking about quitting, she said. It was not a question. How did you know? Because I would be thinking the same thing. She sat beside him. Your family is suffering because of me. I am sorry. It is not your fault. It is. I chose you. I brought this upon you. She looked at her hands. If you want to stop, I will understand. I will tell everyone that I changed my mind. You can go back to your normal life. Looked at her. In the dim light, she seemed less like a princess and more like a lonely young woman carrying a weight she never asked for. Is that what you want? He asked. For me to go? No, her voice cracked. I want you to stay, but I will not force you. I have spent too long watching people do things for duty instead of desire. Reached out and took her hand. She flinched slightly, surprised by the contact. I am scared, he admitted. I am terrified of the final trial. I am worried about my family. I am not sure I am good enough for any of this. He squeezed her hand. But when I am with you, I feel something I have not felt since before the war. I feel like things might be okay. Like maybe, just maybe, I have found something worth fighting for. Looked at him. Her violet eyes were wet with unshed tears. You barely know me. I know enough. I know you laugh at terrible jokes. I know you stayed up 3 nights learning about human history because you wanted to understand me. I know you cry when you think no one is watching. He smiled. I know you are more than your title, and I want to know the rest. She kissed him. It was sudden and gentle and over too quickly. When she pulled back, her silver cheeks had turned slightly pink. The final trial is the trial of heart, she whispered. You will have to prove your love is real. They will test you in ways I cannot predict. I know. Are you ready? Thought about everything he had been through. The pain, the fear, the impossible odds. No, he said honestly, but I will be. For you, I will be. Somewhere in the darkness, Lord was planning something terrible. The conspiracy that started with the assassination attempt was growing stronger. Forces were moving that would threaten not just, but all of humanity. But in that moment, none of it mattered. In that moment, there was only a human and a princess, holding hands in the dark, finding strength in each other. The final trial was coming, and with it, the truth that would change everything. The conspiracy ran deeper than anyone imagined, and discovered it together, working through nights, piecing together clues that others had missed. The assassination attempt at the welcome ceremony was not random. It was not even about. It was about something much bigger. A coalition of alien species had formed in secret. They called themselves the Preservation Council. Their goal was simple and terrifying. They wanted to stop humanity from growing stronger. They wanted to prevent the alliance between Earth and the Empire. They remember the Solar Defense War, Colonel explained when they brought her the evidence. When the raiders attacked, they expected humanity to fall. Every other young species had fallen before, but humans fought back. They survived. They won. And that scared them, said. More than scared, it terrified them. They have seen species like us before, young, aggressive, adaptive. Such species either burn out quickly or grow into something unstoppable. The Council decided they did not want to find out which path humanity would take. His face was hard with anger. They used my people. The assassin was designed to kill me and make it look like a human attack. It would have started a war. But it failed, said. I stopped it. Which is why they hate you even more now. Colonel pulled up images of Lord. He is part of the Council. He believes in their cause. He thinks humans are dangerous animals that need to be contained. Felt a chill. What are they planning now? We do not know, but whatever it is, they will move soon. They cannot allow you to complete the trials. If a human becomes bondmate to the princess, it will change everything. The trial of heart began 3 days later, was brought to an ancient temple that the had built in the mountains. It was a sacred place, used for this ritual for over 100,000 years. Inside, a council of elders waited, led by the emperor himself. The trial of heart is the most important test, Emperor explained. The others measure what you can do. This one measures who you are. What must I do? You must enter the chamber of truth. Inside, you will face your deepest fears and desires. You must answer questions that have no right answers. And you must prove that your love for my daughter is genuine. The emperor leaned close. His golden eyes held ancient wisdom and genuine concern. I will be honest with you, human. I did not approve of my daughter's choice. I thought she was being foolish, blinded by a moment of sentiment. But you have proven me wrong twice now. Perhaps you will prove me wrong again. He stepped back. Enter the chamber, and may truth guide you. The chamber of truth was dark and cold. Walked inside alone. The door closed behind him. For a moment there was nothing but blackness. Then the visions began. He saw himself as a child, hiding under his bed while his parents argued. He felt the fear he had tried to forget. He saw the war, Mars, the blood. His friends dying while he could do nothing to help. He heard their screams again, felt their hands reaching for him. He saw his sister, alone and afraid, suffering because of choices he had made. "Why do you pursue this path?" a voice asked. It came from everywhere and nowhere. "Because I love her," said. "Do you, or do you love what she represents? Escape from your ordinary life, power, importance." The vision changed. He saw himself as an old man, alone, having failed the trials. He was back in his small apartment, eating instant noodles, forgotten by history. "This is your fear," the voice said, "to be nothing, to matter to no one. Is that why you cling to the princess?" Felt the truth of it hit him like a physical blow. Part of him had wondered the same thing. In his darkest moments, he had questioned his own motivations. "I will not lie," he said. "When this started, I did not love her. I was confused and scared and overwhelmed. She was beautiful and powerful and interested in me. Any man would be flattered. The darkness seemed to press closer, waiting. But that is not why I am here now. I am here because in the weeks we have spent together, I have seen who she really is. Not the princess, not the title, her." The visions shifted again. He saw laughing at his terrible jokes. He saw her crying alone at night, burdened by 500 years of loneliness. He saw her face when she watched her first human sunset. "She is kind, she is curious. She is lonely in a way that breaks my heart. She has spent centuries being wanted for what she could give people. No one ever wanted to give anything to her." Tears were running down his face now. He did not try to stop them. "I want to give her everything. I want to show her that short lives are not wasted lives. I want to make her laugh every day. I want to hold her hand when she is sad. I want to grow old and die knowing that I made her happy, even if only for a moment in her eternal life." He fell to his knees. "Is that love? I do not know. I have never felt anything like this before. All I know is that when I am with her, the universe makes sense. And when I am not, I count the seconds until I can see her again." The darkness was silent. Then, slowly, light began to fill the chamber. "You have passed," the voice said. "Your heart is true." Looked up. The emperor stood before him, his expression unreadable. "Most who enter this chamber try to give perfect answers," the emperor said. "They speak of destiny and honor and great noble things. You spoke of instant noodles and sunset and wanting to make my daughter laugh." He reached down and helped to his feet. "I have lived for 10,000 years. I have heard every beautiful lie in every language, but I have never heard anyone speak about love the way you just did." For the first time, the emperor smiled at him. "You will be good for her. I believe that now." They walked out of the temple together. Outside was waiting. Her face was anxious, her hands clasped tightly in front of her. When she saw emerge, alive and unharmed, she ran to him. She threw her arms around him. He held her close. "You passed," she whispered. "I passed." "What did you say? What did they ask you?" He kissed her forehead. "I told them the truth, about you, about us, about instant noodles." She laughed through her tears. "Instant noodles? It is a long story." The moment was beautiful, perfect. It should have lasted forever. But Lord had other plans. The attack came without warning. Ships appeared in the sky, weapons firing. The temple guards were overwhelmed in seconds. Explosions shook the ground. "The council has moved," his voice boomed from speakers. "This farce ends now. The human dies and the princess will return to her duty." Soldiers poured from the ships. Not soldiers. Beings from a dozen different species, all united in their hatred of humanity. "Run!" pushed toward the emperor. "Get her out of here. I will not leave you." "You have to." He grabbed a weapon from a fallen guard. "I will hold them. Go." "Please." He looked at her one last time. His eyes held everything he could not say, all the love and fear and desperate hope. "I will find you," he promised. "I swear it." Then he turned and charged toward the enemy. Screamed his name. Her father grabbed her, dragged her away. The last thing she saw was disappearing into the chaos, fighting enemies that no human should be able to fight. She did not see him fall, but she heard the explosion that followed. And then there was only silence. 3 hours after the attack, stood in the war room of her father's ship. Her face was blank, her eyes were empty. She had not spoken since they escaped the temple. Around her, generals and admirals argued about what to do next. Lord's forces had scattered after the attack, disappearing into the void between stars. The Preservation Council was demanding that the Emperor hand over his daughter and end all contact with humanity. "We must consider their demands," one advisor said. "War with the Council would devastate both sides." "We cannot surrender to terrorists," another argued. "It would show weakness." Heard none of it. She was thinking about his smile, his voice, the way he held her hand, the way he charged into battle to save her. He was gone. The explosion had destroyed everything. Search teams found no body, but that meant nothing. The energy weapons the Council used left nothing behind. She had finally found someone who saw her, really saw her, and now he was gone. "Your Highness," a young officer approached her nervously. "There is a transmission. It is unusual." "I do not care." "It is from Earth, from a human military channel. They say they have something you need to see." Looked up, something flickered in her dead eyes. Hope, fear, she did not know any more. "Show me." The screen activated. Colonel appeared, her face serious but her eyes bright with something that looked like triumph. "Your Highness, we received your distress signal 3 hours ago. We have been preparing ever since." "Preparing for what?" Colonel smiled. It was not a friendly smile. It was the smile of a predator. "Humanity does not abandon its own. We sent a fleet the moment we learned of the attack. They are entering your system now." The screen split. A new image appeared. Ships, human ships, dozens of them bursting out of hyperspace in perfect formation. "We also have something else for you," Colonel continued. "Someone who insisted on leading the rescue personally." The image changed again. His heart stopped. Stood on the bridge of the lead ship. He was battered and bruised, his arm in a sling, bandages covering half his face. But he was alive. Impossibly, miraculously alive. "Hello," he said. His voice was rough, tired, but it was his voice. "Sorry I am late. The explosion knocked me off the mountain. Took me a while to find a working communicator." Could not speak. Tears streamed down her face. "You were right," continued. "Humans are stubborn. We do not know when to quit, and I made you a promise. I said I would find you." His eyes hardened. "I also made a promise to myself, and his council tried to kill me. They tried to hurt you. They tried to destroy everything we built together." He leaned forward. "That was a mistake. The battle was short and brutal. Lord had expected to fight there. He had prepared for their tactics, their weapons, their way of war. He had not prepared for humans. Human ships did not fight like ships. They did not form elegant formations or follow honorable rules of engagement. They swarmed like insects, attacked from unexpected angles, and used tactics that no civilized species would consider. They fought dirty, and they fought to win. Ship led the charge. He was no admiral, no tactical genius. But he knew how to survive against impossible odds. He had done it on Mars. He was doing it again now. "All ships target their command vessel," he ordered. "Ignore the escorts. Cut off the head." Lord's flagship was massive, ancient, and powerful. It had destroyed entire fleets, but it had never faced humans before. The human ships hit it from every direction at once. They sacrificed shields to increase weapon power. They rammed smaller enemy vessels out of the way. They did everything the textbook said they should not do. Lord watched in horror as his defenses crumbled. This was impossible. These creatures lived for mere decades. How could they fight like this? "Send all reserves," he screamed. "Destroy them." But it was too late. Human Marines were already boarding his ship. Led the assault team personally. He should not have been there. He was wounded, exhausted, barely able to hold his weapon. But he refused to stay behind. "This is personal," he told Colonel when she tried to stop him. "Tried to kill the woman I love. I want to look him in the eyes when he falls." They fought through the corridors of the flagship. Guards were well trained, but they were not prepared for the fury of human soldiers protecting one of their own. One by one, they fell. Finally, reached the bridge. Lord stood waiting, a weapon in his hand. He was magnificent and terrible, 3,000 years of power and hatred burning in his golden eyes. "You should be dead," said. "That explosion should have erased you from existence." Probably, agreed. But humans are hard to kill. We survive things that should destroy us. It is our gift. You are insects. You live for moments. You have no right to stand beside eternal beings. Raised his weapon. His hands were steady despite his exhaustion. You keep saying that, but here I am, standing before you, winning. Fired was faster. He had learned from his fight with. He did not try to block or dodge. He simply moved before could aim properly. His shot hits weapon, destroying it. His next shot hits leg, bringing the ancient noble to his knees. Walked forward slowly. He pressed his weapon against forehead. "Why?" he asked. "Why do you hate us so much?" Laughed bitterly. "Because you are dangerous, because you do not know your place, because you will grow and spread and eventually challenge us all. Better to end you now while you are still weak. And that is your answer. Kill us before we become a threat. It is the only logical answer." Shook his head. "No, the logical answer is to become our friends, to grow together instead of fighting. But you cannot see that because you are blinded by fear." He lowered his weapon. "I will not kill you. You will stand trial for your crimes. The galaxy will see what you tried to do, and humanity will show everyone what we really are." He turned away. "We are not your enemies. We could have been your greatest allies, but you were too afraid to see it." The war ended quickly after that. With their leader captured, the Preservation Council collapsed. Some members fled, others surrendered. The threat was over. 3 months later, the wedding of the millennium took place. Stood at the altar of the Grand Temple on the. He wore a suit that combined human and traditions. His hands were shaking slightly. Billions of beings watched across the galaxy. This was the first union between a human and royalty. History was being made. Then appeared. She walked down the aisle in a dress that seemed made of starlight. Her silver skin glowed. Her violet eyes shone with tears of joy. She was the most beautiful thing had ever seen. She took his hands. They looked at each other. "Are you scared?" she whispered. "Terrified." She smiled. "Good, me too." The ceremony was long and complicated, full of ancient words in languages barely understood. But he did not care. He only cared about the woman standing before him. When it was time for speeches, took a deep breath. "I was not supposed to be here," he said. "I was just a translator who got lucky, a nobody from Earth who happened to be in the right place at the right time." He looked at. "But now I understand something. It was not luck. It was choice. When that weapon fired, I chose to act. When the trials came, I chose to try. When they told me I could not win, I chose to fight anyway." He turned to the crowd. "Humanity is young, we are small, our lives are short, but we have something that the ancient species have forgotten. We have fire. We burn brightly because we do not have time to burn slowly. We love fiercely because we cannot afford to wait." He took's hand. "I will grow old, I will die. She will live on for thousands of years after I am gone. But I do not see that as sad. I see it as a gift. Every day I have with her is precious because I know it will end." Tears were falling now, from both of them. "I will spend every moment of my short life making her happy. I will show her what it means to live without forever. And when I am gone, she will carry what we built together into an eternal future." He kissed her hand. "That is humanity's gift to the galaxy. We remind you that every moment matters, that love does not need to last forever to be real, that sometimes the lights are the ones that burn out fastest." The crowd was silent. Then, slowly, applause began. It grew and grew until it filled the temple, spilled out into the streets, echoed across the planet. Later that night, the Emperor approached. "You gave a good speech," Emperor said, "but I have a question." "Yes." "What do you plan to do with your short life now that you are married to an immortal princess?" Smiled. He thought about everything he had been through. The battles, the trials, the love he had found against all odds. "Live it well," he said, "and maybe teach her how." The Emperor laughed. It was a deep, genuine laugh, the first one in centuries. "You know," the Emperor said, "when my daughter pointed at you that day, I thought she had lost her mind. Now I understand. She was not being foolish. She was being wise, wiser than any of us." He put his hand on shoulder. "Take care of her, human. She chose well." Found on the balcony later, looking at the stars. She wrapped her arms around him from behind. "What are you thinking about?" she asked. "Everything, nothing, the future." She rested her head on his shoulder. "Are you worried?" "A little. There is so much to do, so much to learn, and I only have a few decades to do it all." She turned him around to face her. Her violet eyes were soft and full of love. "Then let us not waste a single moment." She kissed him. Above them, the stars sparkled with endless possibility. Across the galaxy, other species watched. They saw a human and a princess, two beings who should never have met, building something new together. Some felt fear, some felt hope, some felt nothing at all. But all of them understood one thing. Humanity had arrived. They were young and short-lived and strange. But they were also brave and adaptive and filled with a fire that refused to die. They were not here to conquer. They were here to grow, to learn, to love. And they were only just getting started. Far away on Earth, Park watched her brother's wedding on the news. She cried and laughed and called their parents to make sure they were watching too. Their little restaurant was packed with customers who wanted to celebrate with the family of the man who had married a princess. Outside, the sun was setting over Seoul, painting the sky with beautiful colors. Thought about what her brother had said in his speech, about every moment being precious, about burning brightly. She smiled, wiped her tears, and got back to work. There were customers to serve, a life to live, a future to build, just like her brother had taught her, just like humans always had, and always would.